Hi everyone, and welcome to our latest Sheffield Museums Live. Now we are back today at the Millennium Gallery, where we are looking at our latest exhibition to open here. This is Earthbound, and we're joined by Ned McConnell from the Roberts Institute of Art, who will be looking at some of these artworks, telling us a bit more about them and about the artists as well. Now, all our sites have reopened and this exhibition is in place until Sunday the 31st of October. So if you are able to come visit, you might see some of the more of the artworks that we don't have time to talk about today. We are very, very grateful for any donations that we receive. You can donate either when you visit or online at museums-sheffield.org.uk/donate. And thank you to everybody who has donated and is helping to keep us going. So I think we are all good to go now. So we will head over to Ned to begin the tour.
Hi, thanks for joining us today. I'm Ned McConnell, curator at the Roberts Institute of Art, and I'll be taking you around the exhibition Earthbound today, and we'll be looking at some of the works in the show. So just to give you some background, the exhibition itself really grew out of a kind of desire to understand our connections to the planet Earth, and also during this last year or so, obviously during lockdown in particular, I think lots of people felt that very real sense of isolation, and that the natural world had become quite an important part of their lives, and they were missing that. So we felt like this was a good way to kind of unpack some of those things. And some of the questions that we tried to explore in the exhibition are: how do we connect with the earth? How does it go unnoticed? Why does it feel like such an intrinsic part of our life, and how does it get forgotten? So first of all, we have Helen Chadwick, who is an artist, British artist, who deals with gender representation often. She was born in 1953 and died in 1996. She was a big impact on the YBA artists, the Young British artists from the 1990s, and often taught a lot of them as well. And the work that is presented here today is called Piss Flowers, which was made in 1991 and 1992. The work itself is made from plaster or plaster casts of the cavities made by urinating into snow, and then they are cast in bronze. So, as you can see, the sort of flower shapes come from two different types of urine. So the central parts, the pistils of the flowers, were created by her, and then the kind of petals around the outside were created by her male partner. And I think one of the things that Helen Chadwick is particularly interested in is ideas of kind of repulsion, and in this show in particular, I think the works are looking into this idea of natural or unnatural, and particularly bodily functions that we sometimes see as being unnatural, but actually obviously it's all part of one kind of system that we've evolved into. So if we move around further into the show, we have the work of Ito Barada. Ito Barada was born in 1971, and a lot of her work is based on her time spent in Morocco, and particularly Morocco being a former colony of France. And so here we have an image of a kind of alpine landscape, a kind of idealized space that you can imagine going on holiday or seeing in a kind of travel brochure or something. But if you take a closer look, you can see that it's actually a photograph of kind of peeling wallpaper of this landscape. And this was actually a photograph taken in a cafe in Tangier, and it's a wallpaper that was on the wall there. And really she's talking about what is an ideal landscape, why do we have these ideals, and particularly in the context of kind of colonialism, what has been judged as being ideal is often the colonizers' landscapes rather than the colonized landscapes. Here we have what is probably a very familiar piece of work for the audiences from Sheffield, which is Richard Long's Delabole Spiral. Richard Long is a land artist. He is one of the kind of protagonists of land art, really, which is a practice of usually making work within the landscape and often using the materials of those landscapes. So it might be rocks, like we see here, or twigs or wood. And here, this particular work takes slate from a place in Cornwall called Delabole, and it's a quarry. It was, at some point was the deepest quarry in the world, and he's arranged them in this very geometric spiral, and kind of contrasted against the very asymmetrical and strange shaped bits of slate. It's a kind of it's a proposition around man's impact on the landscape. So this very geometric shape, which is something which is often very human made, against the kind of strange shapes of the slate. Next up we have Miroslaw Balka, which is this large structure that you can see with the light bulb at the top. Miroslaw Balka is a Polish artist. He was born in 1958. Much of his practice is based around his upbringing in Poland, Catholic upbringing, but also, you know, in post-war Poland, that had been obviously devastated by the Second World War. And his practice really, it revolves around his studio, which used to be his grandparents' house, and it was the house that he grew up in. And all the materials that he uses are collected from a kind of specific radius around that space. Here you have a structure that mimics the structure of a zoo that was in the Bruyckere concentration camp, and it's changed in size to fit the artist's dimension. So the top there is the same size as Miroslaw Balka himself, and he has his arms raised up. And really, I guess it's a comment on how humans, the self-destructive nature of humans for sure, but also how we've, you know, bringing animals into a place like that for the entertainment of SS soldiers is obviously a very difficult thing to deal with, but it was also a site where humans were being caged and being treated like animals. Here we have the work of Theaster, who is an artist from the United States. This work is made from lots of kind of construction materials like black silica concrete and pulverized glass, and then on this one you can see there's been lots of nails and screws kind of embedded into it. This comes from his family background within construction. His father was a roofer, and he learnt some of those skills from his father. His wider practice itself is often based around building sites of community or building sites of places for people to gather. Here you can see how he's taking the kind of materials that are normally used for quite supposedly functional things like construction or building a house or a roof, and he's really turning them into something which is much more cerebral or psychological and based around the imagination. And in particular here he's referencing abstract art or abstract expressionism from the mid-20th century. So this here kind of references work by Joseph Albers, who was a very famous painter, an abstract painter. And here even maybe the Kazimir Malevich Black Square, which is often cited as being the kind of beginnings of abstraction. He was a Russian artist from the early 20th century. So I think one thing about all of these works is they're trying to explore different ways that we connect with the earth, and one of the things that we wanted to pull out from that is that there's lots of different ways and different perspectives that you can have on connecting with the earth, but we have to try to understand all of those things and really try to reconnect with the earth in a way where it doesn't go unnoticed. It can be treated as a home, as something that we coexist with, and something that needs to be kind of protected, but also would in turn protect us.
Hi everyone. Well, I hope you enjoyed that tour and it gave you a bit of a taster of this new exhibition, which is in place until Sunday, the 31st of October at the Millennium Gallery. Thanks for watching, and do keep an eye out for our other talks, tours and behind the scenes things coming up as part of the Sheffield Museum's live programme. Bye bye.